All right, Dave, welcome to the show. This is the 1031 investor, Mr. Dave Foster. How does it feel to be Dave today?
Well, it feels a lot more normal to be Dave rather than the.
Yeah,
I
the
always worry
Dave,
about
right?
being the. You're an outlier.
But tell us a little bit about Dave Foster. Where did you start? I mean, did you have a profession outside of real estate? How did you generate the deployable capital necessary? And tell us a little bit about where you're at now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that is a great part of the story because we were both in fairly. Well, I got to back up. I guess I'm a Kansas farm boy. My wife is a Minneapolis city girl, and we met in Denver, Colorado.
Oh,
Now, so far, I see no common theme of ocean, water, or sailing. But somewhere along the line, having some pretty high crusher profile careers in the Denver area, we realized that the greatest commodity in our lives was time. It wasn't money, wealth, position, power, standing, whatever. We had our first child, and that just changed everything for us. It was that time is the thing that we can maximize, but we cannot recapture. So, how do we change our lives to restructure this so that we can maximize that time that we're going to have with our kids? So, we started putting the noodles to it and decided, like a whole lot of people these days, gosh, let's become real estate investors. It'll be easy, she said. Sure, we'll make a lot of money, he said. And so, ready, fire, aim. I bought a piece of property in Denver, Colorado. I rehabbed it. We put renters in it. I sold it later. And I thought, we're on the way. We're going to be able to retire on our sailboat according to our 10-year goal exactly and raise our kids. And then I went to see my accountant. And he said, man, you got a $30,000 tax bill. I went, holy crud. Nobody told me I had a silent partner named Uncle Sam and that he was going to do better than I did.
mm-hmm.
And so that just put a whole crimp in the plans, not to mention the fact that still today, 30 days later, I mourn over that event because I paid the tax and then discovered the 1031 exchange, which, as a degreed accountant, I learned from watching the case laws and everything that was out there, which allows you to sell investment real estate and buy replacement investment real estate. And you get to indefinitely use the tax dollars that you would have paid to build more portfolio. Now, think about the power of that. A $30,000 tax bill of mine 30 years ago. If I had deferred that and started to make the money for myself, and we compound that out, let's say 10% a year for 30 years, that's another $500,000 or $600,000 in my pocket just from one transaction. That's the power of the 1031 exchange. And as soon as we figured that out, then we started doing everything we could to make sure that whenever we sold a piece of investment property, we did a 1031 exchange.
Something stuck me there was about the 500K of profit on a homestead property. Dave, what was that?
So there's a rule, it's called Section 121 of the IRS code. And what it allows for is that if you buy a property, you move into it, and if you have lived in it for 2 out of the 5 years prior to selling it, then you get to take, as a married couple, the first $500,000 of profit tax-free. And you can do that, Brent, every 2 years. So really, for anybody, there is no better way to invest that I have ever found, because all you're doing is buying a house, moving into it, and living in it for a couple years. And when you sell it, the first $500,000 in profit, tax-free.
As a real estate investor, it sounds like that transition into the short term, but were you doing long term prior to that?
Yeah, we actually invested in a number of different opportunities. And that's one of the best applications of the 1031 exchange because it will allow you to sell any type of investment real estate and replace it with any other type. So we started out just like a lot of people in the single family world because, a small, modest single family home was all we could afford. And then we would sell those and we would 1031 exchange. And slowly, as we got more confidence as investors, and we started to look at where the returns were maximized in different sectors, we moved into multifamily. We started to invest in commercial. Because of my familiarity with land planning, we started to buy raw land. So it all starts with selling something. Let's play a game called the 4 Ds of 1031 investing. And we'll see how good you are, all right?
Yes, sir.
So the first D goes back to my $30,000 mistake. And I'll give this one to you. The first D of 1031 investing is to defer. Because as long as you keep those dollars deferred, you're getting the benefit of them. That's what Albert Einstein called compound interest. I make the money off the money I saved by not paying tax. And as long as that is deferred, I get to continue making the money. So whether it's 2 years or 30 years, it's benefiting me to at least try to defer and take advantage of that compounding effect. And I'm a real boring guy, and I'm not very creative. So what do you think the second D is?
Defer. Boy, I don't know.
There you go. I'll give it to you. You're absolutely right. Because the 1031 exchange, and this is oh so powerful, will allow you to accommodate wherever the real estate market finds itself. It can work in any real estate market, no matter what's happening, because you can use it to exchange, like we just said, from any type of real estate to any other type. Single family stalled, but multifamily going crazy, 1031 into multifamily. Multifamily not working for you, but commercial new builds are out there, triple net commercials, perfect. You 1031 into any other type you want, anywhere you want. So what do you think the third D is?
I'm gonna wager a bet for defer.
Because just like the 1031 exchange can be used to accommodate wherever you find the market, and this is so important for your folks today, the 1031 exchange can be used for wherever you find yourself in your personal journey as a real estate investor, as an individual. We all have a life cycle, and everybody's life cycle is fairly similar, but it happens at different times. The folks that are going to the medical practices with incredible amounts of education required ahead of time are generally going to be starting a little bit later in life, but they're going to be able to play catch up faster. But by starting later in life, they're going to have a level of sophistication and maturity that's going to let them start their real estate investing careers. As a matter of fact, it's not uncommon for we to have a scenario called the accidental investor, where two people get married, they each happen to have their own house. They move into one, and the other one becomes a rental property. Voila, they're now real estate investors. They sell that property, then they go and they buy a couple properties, and they start to grow. And this is where you come in, right? With the idea of diversifying, buying multiple properties, helping them increase their holdings, because that's the mode that they're in. Now, at some point in my life cycle, I start to get tired. I am tired of managing toilets and tenants. I'm tired of multiple properties. I'm tired of smaller and having to have largers. So what I do is I start to 1031 exchange from active management
You clearly have a lot of experience in this, Dave, and I know that you've put all of this stuff together, right, in a book. I see it. I have it right here. It's called Lifetime Tax-Free Wealth, the Real Estate Investor's Guide to the 1031 Exchange. Tell us a little bit about that journey for you and the book.
Yeah, well, the book is really an outgrowth of a realization that we had when we started the 1031 exchange business 25 years ago. And that is that the greatest gap out there is knowledge. But we realized that we did need to educate people. So we did it by creating the 1031 Investor, which is a prototype which allows people to plug themselves into wherever they're at and discover what the 1031 exchange can do. The website, which I know you've got, has got calculators. We've got the YouTube channel with videos, like 47 videos, because there's so much that you can do with the 1031 exchange. And the book simply became the next logical outgrowth.